Hey guys, welcome back to the next part of our series. Today we're going to be talking about a very interesting subject, and this has to do with how we prepare our characters for our final preparation mark, if you wish, before we go into textures, before we go into UVs and all that. Now, we're very close to my favorite part of the character process, which is the texturing process. It's a lot of fun, and it's going to be very interesting for us. But we have a couple of situations that we need to fix before we get there. Now, I purposely left this until the very end because I wanted to show you what happens when you were working on your character here on ZBrush. You do your retopology process, and you find out that there are certain stuff or certain things that you want to fix or change before moving into the texturing process. Like, let's say, in the case of my character, that I like her face, but I want to have a little bit more high frequency detail, like wrinkles, maybe like a scar or a couple of moles here and there. Let's say I want more detail for her hands, like all the knuckles, all the veins, and some very interesting things. Of course, her feet, they need to be fixed. They're not ready for my high poly because the fingers, the toes look really bad. So what happens if I still got time and I want to fix some of that stuff, but I don't want to mess all the beautiful thing that I have here with my low poly, which is the very nice topology that I already have? Well, the answer is very simple. We're going to duplicate. We're going to keep this guy. We're not going to do anything with my low poly, but I'm going to move a couple of things. So I'm going to duplicate my character. I'm going to Shift P to get her out of her group, and I'm going to call this transition anatomy. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to split this guy. So I'm just going to go double click this edge on the belt right there, and double click this edge on the other side of the belt, because remember, we don't have the information for the belt on our high poly. Everything was modeled in, so the only high poly that we have is here in Maya. So we can't just we can't just bring all of this low poly and project details, because there's not going to be details to project to. So I'm just going to select those lines there, and I'm going to say, and I'm going to I'm going to go up here to the necklace as well, and I'm going to select those loops there all the way around. There we go. I'm going to go into edit mesh, and I'm going to detach. Where is it? Detach. There we go. Now I'm going to say mesh separate, and it's going to separate all the meshes that are detached. So if I select my, wait, did I select the wrong thing? Oh, I think I did. Oh, okay, that's fine. We're going to hide this transition, and here in the low body, this should be our, let's go into the edge selections. Everything should still be selected. There we go. So edit mesh. Where is it? Detach, and then mesh separate. There we go. So we got head, torso, and legs. I'm going to select those three things. I'm going to file, export selection, and I'm going to export this into our project. Where is our project? Give me just 1 second. There we go. I'm going to go into my project, assets, and I'm going to create a new folder. I'm just going to call it transition, just so that I don't get lost with that many files. I'm going to call this Freya body transition. There we go. I'm going to go or jump into ZBrush, import a sphere, sphere, import, and I'm going to go into Freya assets, transition, and select my body. For some reason, it says that I have quads and triangles. I'm gonna say just convert for now, and let me just very quickly check where the mistake could have been. Okay, it's here on the leg. See that? I got this weird thing there. It's gonna mess things up. So I'm gonna show you a very quick trick that you can do to check whether or not something is has issues. It's very simple. You just go into mesh, and you go into cleanup. I'm gonna select matching polygons. And I'm looking for lamina faces, non-manifold geometries, and edges with zero length. I'm gonna select geometry and hit apply. So for instance, that geometry is clear. Select this guy, apply. Geometry is clear. Select this guy, apply, and boom, I got something. So if I press F, it's gonna show me that I have an issue here, apparently with my vertices. There you go. So see that little guy there? So just erase that guy, and we got this little guy right here. Erase it. There we go. I'm gonna select my mesh again and hit cleanup. So there's no more issues, but we did detect this guy, and it's not selecting as an issue because, as you can see here, well, there's really no issue. It's just a normal face, but it's not welded to where it's supposed to. So I'm just gonna select these two guys. I'm gonna hit bridge, and I'm gonna do the exact same thing on the other side. Bridge, there we go. Number 3, just make sure nothing is wrong. Again, select these guys, file, export selection, transition, yes. Go back into ZBrush, import, transition, boom, no errors, so we're good. Now, this, we're gonna divide. We're gonna do Control D, 1, 2, 3, let's go a little bit high, like 1.2 million polygons there. Now, I'm gonna go by pieces. I'm gonna select my head first, which is my high poly head, which has some nice details like wrinkles and stuff. I'm gonna go as high as possible. So it's at 2.4 million polygons with the weird topology, that's fine. And then I'm gonna select my new body here. Let's remove the dynamic isolation. I'm gonna go into my body, there we go. Get rid of the little eye and then just turn off on the head here, there we go. And I'm just gonna say, selecting my body, of course, I'm gonna say project all. Polypaint, yes, let's project the polypaint so that we get the nice red lips and the eyebrows and everything. Now this might take a little while because we're trying to project the details into a very high density mesh, but it should be done there. Let's turn off the head for a second. And yeah, look at that. This is our nice clean topology, like our animation ready topology, but with all the nice form detail that we have. So now we can go back here and do some sculpting before we jump back into the decimation process or the projection process. We're gonna do the same thing for the body. Let's push it all the way up. And I'm gonna select the body here, which includes both the legs and the feet, but I'm gonna do something interesting here. I'm gonna mask the feet for my my low poly that I'm using right now, and I'm gonna mask the face as well because I don't want any information. Actually, let's isolate real quick. Let's do other groups, and let's very fast or very quickly block our face. There we go. Let's get rid of the isolate select. And now I'm just gonna say the same thing, project all. So what this is gonna do, it's gonna protect the face and the feet, because the feet right now, they're not working properly, like the toes and everything. There are some details that we sculpted, but we don't want those to affect our toes, our new toes, because we have new topology and we need to do some changes with our new topology. So there we go. Now we can turn off the body here. And as you can see, this is my clean topology body, but with the high polygon information. If we go down here, we might have this kind of issues. That's totally normal. What I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna turn on my body again, and I'm gonna mask only the toes. Only the toes. And of course, let me isolate select real quick. There we go. We're gonna isolate the head as well, just to be sure. And we're gonna say project all again. What this is gonna do, it's gonna project everything, the ankles, the sole of the foot, the sides of the feet and everything, but it's not going to project the toes because we have new topology now that we can use to pretty much reconstruct or rebuild our sculpting here on our character. So let's see how this came out. Let me turn off our body. And yeah, this is good. See there? Whoop. Let me go down there. We can get rid of that. And now this is going to be a little bit of a lengthy process. I don't want to record all of the information here because it's pretty much what we saw back where or when we were sculpting our character. It's pretty much, we already have the information, we already have the topology, so you just need to go back into reference and keep sculpting these guys here. I'm going to use the remaining time from this video to show you a little bit of the things that we need to do here. So for instance, there's a little bit of mistakes there on the inner side of the leg. Same here for the butt. That's normal. It's because everything's very close together and it kind of projects itself into the other side. Let's make sure that our fingers are as clean as possible. Yeah, that looks nice. Breasts look nice. Face looks good. So what can we do now? Well, there are a couple of options that we have here. If we want to return this character, we can just return it like this. And I want to show you the quick process. Let's say, just for the sake of argument, that we gave her like a big scar here on the chest. Like for some reason, our art lead or something told us, you know what, she's gonna have like a really big scar here, and we want you to add it on the sculpting process because we want it to be present on the normal map. So that's our new big scar. Now this is gonna do an interesting change on our low poly. As you can see, first of all, it's asymmetrical now, and second of all, the volumes and the way or the places where the faces were are gonna change. So I need to take that into consideration because when I'm gonna export this. Let's turn this off. Let's export. Let's call this scar example. I'm gonna export this, and if I don't do any changes to the belt, I need to somehow restitch this belt. Let's duplicate it and Control P and get it out of there. I need to restitch this belt with a new body. So if I import the new body, scar example, there we go. You're gonna see that some of the parts of our character are not gonna match. And now this is very interesting because what happens here is that your low poly, even though it has the right topology and everything, your low poly gets smoothed out on the border and you're gonna lose this little border that we had before. Now there's one way to avoid that. If you're back here in ZBrush, you just go back into your first level right here and you say load tool, or sorry, import, and you just re-import the transition, the first transition. See that? See how the border didn't change? And we kept the scar. Okay? So border still intact, and we keep all the details that we had from our character, every single detail. So before re-exporting your character back into ZBrush, if you need to do this process, remember this is all optional, you will need to re-import your low poly so that the borders are preserved and everything just pretty much stays together. And that of course means that if you're gonna do any change to your character, try not to work on the borders. These should all be internal changes for your character because otherwise you're gonna have to retopologize a little bit, which is not it's not the worst thing in the world, but it could mess up some stuff. So let's get rid of the scar. Let's go to the lowest subdivision, import, re-import my transition so that the borders are closer to where they were, and you can see there that all the detail, it's exactly where it's supposed to be. Now I can turn on my like my necklace here, and it should be as close as possible to the necklace. If it's not perfect, do not worry. There's gonna be a change to, or an option to change it later, and it shouldn't be an issue. I'm just gonna go here into the ears. You can see that the ears get a little bit weird. So let's go back a couple of levels. That's because if you remember, we didn't have a lot of information here. So we just need to very calmly go in here and fix all of these issues. Just go down in subdivision levels and then keep pushing up. And that should solve the problem. This is called smoothing by subdivision, which is just go one by one, level by level, just fixing all of this issue. It's just a projection issue, and it happens with this kind of areas, which again, is not the most important area for our character because she's gonna have a lot of hair, but it's important for us to have it there. Okay, there we go. So our ears are fixed. There's a little bit of issues here. Again, just that's because of the loops. Let me dynamic solo this. Control N, there we go. Just relax a little bit. And it's fine because we can just re-export this new low poly because we're moving polys around and that's gonna affect the way our character is gonna look. But we can just re-export this low poly and everything should fall into place. As long as the border is not disturbed, then that's perfectly fine. Now, some of you might ask, hey, oh well, we got that issue there of the other side of the ear. Let me just go back a while. I'll do this off camera so that I don't take a lot of your time. But some of you might ask, do we really need to do this? Do we really need to go into Maya, do the retopology, and then come back and then fix some stuff? And the answer is no. If you want to, you can always just have your high poly be perfect from the first time and then just retopologize and jump straight into UVs and you won't have an issue. I wanted to do this for you guys because sometimes, and it happens in production all the time, you will finish your high poly, finish your retopology, and then people will say, hey, we need to add horns to the character, or we need to change the proportions of her ears, or we need to add toes when we first didn't want to. So if those changes happen, you're gonna have to do this process. So it's important for you to know why it is important losing or how to jump between Maya and ZBrush without losing all of that information. Now, the one thing that you should never do if you're doing this process is never ever jump back into Dynamesh, because if you jump into Dynamesh again, you might lose a lot of detail and you will have to do a lot of reworking with your topology. This is a perfect way to just avoid that and have a clean mesh without having to worry too much about all of those other details. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna finish the video right here, and in the next video we're gonna talk about high frequency details for the face. Okay, so I'll see you back in the next video. Bye bye.